Welcome back to the vault of 1980s sci-fi classic treasures. Forgotten? That's debatable, but irrespectively, are you ready for the top 5 forgotten 80s sci-fi movies? Part 3. Number 5 on the list, Killer Klowns from Outer Space, 1988. Local bumpkin Gene Green, played by veteran character actor Royal Dano, a supremely amazing name by the way, gets excited when he thinks he sees Halley's Comet streaking through the night sky. Drunk on moonshine dreams that he can market this for financial gain, he and his dog Pooh Bear tromp off into the forest to claim the spoils of fortune. Instead, they discover a large circus tent and the inhabitants who snare him and his dog. Meanwhile, our protagonists, Mike and Debbie, starring Grant Kramer and Suzanne Snyder, are at Makeout Point and witness the same earthbound UFO. Debbie twists Mike's arm to investigate and enter the extraterrestrial tent, discovering a cotton candy factory and finding Gene Green's saccharine remains cocooned in pink floss. They encounter Klowns and escape after being fired upon by a popcorn gun that shoots alien spores. Buttery spores. And this here is a great touch. Balloon Bloodhound. Mike and Debbie warn Deputy Dave Hansen, Debbie's ex-beau, who's clearly butthurt, yet exercises due diligence despite the fact that Mike, her new boyfriend, is present. And the cantankerous and foul-mouthed officer Curtis Mooney, John Vernon, is convinced this is a prank perpetrated by those f***ing teenagers.
Killer Klowns from outer space. Holy shit.
John Vernon, who delivers his lines with a salty tongue, as he should because he's John Vernon. Dean Vernon Warmer from Animal House, for Christ's sake.
I hate those guys.
But Mooney finally gets his when a clown drops by the precinct.
Whoop the goddamn to do. What do we have here?
And turns him into a ventriloquist dummy. P.T. Barnum famously said, "There's a sucker born every minute," and he must have been referring to the people of Crescent Cove.
Holy shit!
The townies aren't the least bit creeped out when clowns start knocking on their doors bearing gifts.
Shit. Is this from you?
One runty clown traumatizes an entire motorcycle gang, while another clown almost John Wayne Gacy's an innocent little girl. And for all intents and purposes, they're harvesting these people for their food source. Killer Klowns from Outer Space is more brutal and macabre than you might think. Under the makeup, it's a pretty dark and insidious film for a quasi-sci-fi horror comedy. In the lead up to the harvesting parade in the third act, the clowns indulge in some grisly murder, and their qualms have no bounds. I personally adore how the Chiodo brothers, who wrote, directed, and produced this film, completely commit to the absurd and brightly adorned darkness. Killer Klowns from Outer Space hit pay dirt too. Its budget was just a paltry $1.8 million, but it raked in $43 million at the box office. And the soundtrack, featuring the American punk band, the Dickies, although not really a punk band, gave us a totally infectious title track. The tagline, "It's crazy," is an understatement. The Chiodo brothers added the tagline to remove the misconception that it was a slasher movie. A planned sequel or requel has been in limbo for years. The return of the Killer Klowns from Outer Space in 3D was slated for 2012, and a Facebook group cited that the production was in post-production. In 2018, the Sci-Fi Channel announced talks of producing a TV series, but alas, where are the clowns? Number 4, Lifeforce, 1985. In space, no one can hear you scream, fart, or suck. A fair statement on the latter, since we're dealing with alien vampires who can literally suck the life from you. Lifeforce is based on the novel entitled The Space Vampires. The film opens on a joint British-American space shuttle mission. The HMS Churchill approaches Halley's Comet. Their scans discover a 150-mile-long ship in the comet's coma. And before you know it, Colonel Tom Carlson, Steve Railsback, and some of his crew are inside the alien ship and find desiccated bat-like creatures numbering in the thousands. Stranger still is the 3 butt-naked humans encased in crystalline chambers. 2 guys and Matilda May. Holy shit. Carlson decides to bring them and the Batman back to Earth. Predictably, things go south on the Churchill on the 1-month return voyage to Earth. A rescue mission from Cape Canaveral reveals a charred shuttle interior, the dead crew, and one escape pod missing. Although the naked humans are still intact and dormant, these 3 warm bodies are delivered to the European Space Research Center in London. The female awakens in the belly of the institution and quickly enchants a young guard. Bukowski, Michael Gothard, witnessed the act on the CCTV cameras and raced to stop her. But there's no stopping her. Bukowski's soul juice is nearly consumed by the space girl, and she successfully egresses the facility. At the same time, the 2 remaining male vampires arise and become target practice, and are obliterated with 2 hand grenades. As we learn towards the end of the film, didn't do a thing. Typical stupid humans. The mummified guard is about to undergo an autopsy, but it's preempted when he reanimates, seducing the pathologist into relinquishing his energy. Dr. Falada, Frank Finlay, understands that the captured victims have a 2-hour limit to top up their energy, otherwise they explode into dust. Carlson crash lands off the coast of Texas in the Churchill's escape pod. Understandably, he's bent out of shape and determined to find the vampiress who has sucked him into a cosmically complicated dating scenario. With no time to waste, he and Inspector Kane, Peter Firth, fly to London for Carson's debriefing. Carson divulges that he started the fire to sabotage the entity's intentions, preventing the inevitable from happening on Earth. The female coerces Carlson to open the chamber, make out, and swap energy, and in the process, it becomes evident that Carlson and the female vampire share a psychic connection. A little like Johnny Smith, Christopher Walken in 1983's The Dead Zone.
You're gonna get an ice cream headache. It's gonna hurt.
Carlson can witness the vampire's current actions clairvoyantly and sense their presence in host bodies by touch. Carlson's newfound psychic ability tracks down Ellen Nancy Paul, a Yorkshire nurse who works at the psychiatric hospital for the criminally insane. Carlson and Kane rush to the hospital. Carlson exercises some of the space girl's energy, but it is apparent to them that Dr. Armstrong, Patrick Stewart, the hospital administrator, is harboring the vampiress. They sedate him with a pentothal morphine cocktail, and Stewart delivers award-winning screams. God damn, he's good. What's also good is these furious physical effects of the vampire escaping force, turning everything into a swirling poltergeist fit. All eyes turn to London as a female lies in state in St. Paul's Cathedral, acting as a conduit to the massive spaceship hovering over London in a geosynchronous orbit, drawing up untold souls and wreaking unimaginable havoc. It's like a zombie apocalypse down there. Carlson makes his way to her into the city, while Kane commandeers a vehicle and barrels through the streets of Bedlam, running down an infected schlub that looks like Sid Vicious. Carlson arrives first at the cathedral, drawn by the beautiful vampiress. Kane arrives at the ESA headquarters to find that Dr. Falada has been compromised. Kane does away with Falada, then beelines into the cathedral with the leaded metal sword Falada used to kill one of the male vampires, using it to extinguish the other on the steps of St. Paul.
It'll be much less terrifying if you just come to me.
I'll do just that.
Carlson and his intoxicating love are a naked communion in the shaft of skyward light, and Kane delivers the sword which he uses to commit hara-kiri on themselves in their embrace. This is enough to stop the plague, and the ship hauls anchor and disembarks quickly, wrapping up the movie. This is an outstanding sci-fi classic succubus film for countless reasons. I love the economy of its storytelling. It packs a lot of exposition without wasting time. Its quick-paced action is exciting, and it's pretty damn sexy at times. The performances are earnest, and I was even surprised occasionally, no doubt, by its unintentional comedic elements and performances in some of the scenes. The physical effects of the victims is horrifying and funny. I hereby proclaim that Lifeforce definitely does not suck. Before we continue with the list, I'd like to thank you for your support and for watching this video. It means a lot to me. Here's hoping that this video will get me up to 1,000 subscribers and beyond. So without any more blabbing, let's get back to the list. Number 3, Hell Comes to Frogtown, 1988. I had no idea why I didn't know this movie existed, and that it was so damn entertaining. And it's not entirely because of the scantily clad female cast. No, that gratuity is absolutely integral to the plot. I was hooked and amused right out of the gates with this opening scene. A decade after nuclear Armageddon, America needs to repopulate so they can mount a counterattack.
still at war, you know.
But Sam Hell, Roddy Piper, is one lucky wanderer because he possesses the most potent baby juice the medtech geeks in the regional provisional government have ever encountered. A pair of fierce medtech nurses, including Spangle, portrayed by Sandal Bergman, interrupt Hell's bottle whipping by Captain Devlin, whose daughter Hell impregnated. Captain Devlin is demoted to border duty.
There's a truck waiting outside.
The medtech nurses pose their ultimatum: spread his seed for the country.
Are you serious?
Or go back to lockup. Hell chooses stud duty, and Devlin vows revenge. Medtech's preordained 5 fertile women are captured by amphibious mutants and taken to Frogtown. Spangle and Sentinella, Sesforel, have no choice but to make Hell liberate the Procreant 5. And to ensure he doesn't bolt, Hell is fitted with a shock collar codpiece wired with an explosive charge. A short leash never stopped Hell from running before, but this is different. A lot different. Spangle impersonates Hell's sexy captive,
Don't like being treated like a puppet on a string.
and together they infiltrate Frogtown and battle, dance, and flim-flam their way to freeing the 5 maidens and finally fall in love. Sounds simple? It sure is, and it works. Hell Comes to Frogtown is a gleeful example of great B-list 80s sci-fi celluloid. Roddy Piper lends his brand of machismo, goofiness, and surprising vulnerability to the character of Sam Hell. Sandal Bergman is fabulous as Spangle, the ferocious, albeit lovelorn and slightly awkward warrior. Sesforel's sensuous and hard-ass character keeps everybody in line, especially with that mounted gun. The film does a commendable job of offering us waggish action and plenty of amusement without betraying the surprising tenderness of the plot. Hell Comes to Frogtown isn't going to win any Academy Awards, but it takes home the Most Heart Award. Number 2, Battle Beyond the Stars. A dark day descends over the peaceful planet of Akir. Sador, John Saxon, the leader of the Malmori Empire, arrives with his fleet and demands the Akirans' compliance. Failure to do so will seal the planet's fate. Sador threatens to turn his devastatingly powerful weapon, the Stellar Converter, on Akir and reduce it to a collection of small stars.
I possess a stellar converter.
Sador makes his demand and expects their answer when he returns to Akir in several days. The humble farming planet is defenseless apart from the last remaining Akir Corsair, a formidable vessel, but the last of the seasoned pilots, Zed, played by Jeff Corey, is an old fogey and going blind. Shad, Richard Thompson, has experience flying the ship and volunteers. They only have a handful of days before Sador returns, so Zed instructs Shad to find mercenaries. Starting with his old friend Dr. Hephaestus, Sam Jaffe, in his space station.
Station of Dr. Hephaestus, Shad. There, dead ahead.
Shad's first stop is almost a dead end. The space station is an android repair shop run by Dr. Hephaestus, now himself an android, and is assisted by his beautiful daughter Nanelia, Darlene Flugel. Hephaestus intends to hold Shad captive and mate with his daughter. Shad explains his plight and implores Nanelia to release him.
I do not have time for this. Don't you have enough toys?
In fact, she decides to join him on his quest in her spaceship. Shad encounters trucker space cowboy, George Papard.
Mayday.
Help!
Famous for his role as Hannibal in the TV series The A-Team. And man, does he love it when a plan comes together. I'm more than a little sad that Mr. T wasn't included as Cowboy's compadre. I pity the fool. Shad, assisted by his ship's onboard AI, Nell, defeat marauders attacking the Cowboy's ship. Cowboy and Shad arrive at the planet of Umatil, and in time to see Sador use the Stellar Converter, thereby destroying his client.
Stellar Converter.
Cowboy offers his payload of hand lasers to Shad and is convinced to train the Akirans to fight off the Malmori infantry. Shad continues to build his fighting force. He next befriends 5 hive-minded alien clones by the name of Lester. They're bored to tears, and it doesn't take much coaxing for them to sign on. And then you throw in Gelt, Robert Vaughn, an assassin of great renown, Saint Exmine, Sybil Danning, a Valkyrie warrior, Cayman, a reptilian slaver who wants Sador's head for extinguishing his race, and the team is assembled. Cowboy trains the Akirans in ground combat,
Move it! Kick ass, boys! Kick ass!
and in impresses a female admirer with his fanny flask. Above Akir, Shad and his wing of mercenaries engage Sador's forces. Gelt destroys several enemy fighters before he is fatally shot down. Saint X-Men kicks her share of Malmori ass, proving herself in Shad's eyes. On the surface, Cowboy leads the Akirans in close-quarter gun battles with the Malmori forces. And at the bottom of the third, the Stellar Converter, Sadar's air wing, and flagship are destroyed. And everyone rejoices! That is, those who are left alive. Battle Beyond the Stars does deliver. Ultimately, it feels like a feature-length TV episode. I had the same impression when I watched Buck Rogers in the 25th Century in the theaters in 1979. Dad thought it was stupid, but he really liked Aaron Gray. Can't say that I blame him. It's sort of weird seeing Richard Thompson from the Waltons in this movie, but then again, he's great. Boyish naivete, moral compass who frowns upon firing upon enemies from behind, and witnessing his warrior's journey. It's all satisfying shit. James Cameron was hired as the model maker, but quickly became the production designer and art director. And the ship's lasers are recycled from the first Battlestar Galactica TV series. Believe me, there's enough here to keep you engaged. And topping the list, Moontrap, 1989. With modest fanfare, Moontrap tops our list. It doesn't set the world on fire, however it does give us a glimpse of Walter Koenig in a role other than Pavel Chekhov.
Colonel Jason Grant.
His co-pilot, Ray Tanner, played by Bruce Campbell, yes, Bruce Campbell, detects something large and unusual in the radar. Jason insists that he suits up and investigates the anomaly, an ancient damaged derelict spaceship. Jason discovers a leathery-looking nut thingy attached to the alien ship, and additionally, a skeleton humanoid floating past bare-chested. He brings both artifacts on board the Camelot and returns to Earth. The findings at the NASA laboratory show that the mystery corpse is 14,000 years old, and the space nut's shell is impervious so far, but not for long. Haskell, a government official, cries bullshit and suggests that this is a ploy to augment NASA's funding. Jason, Ray, and Barnes, a NASA scientist, are incensed and decide to take a coffee break. Meanwhile, the space nut pops open, and a robot resembling Crichton from Season 2 of Buck Rogers in the 25th Century logs into NASA's computer system to synthesize a new body comprised of the corpse and cobbled hardware parts, kills a technician, and ventures into the administration's corridors. The cast bicker about how to handle the situation. Jason insists that they return to the moon under his command and scout out a supposed alien base.
Don't even think of trying this without me.
Or me.
Then all hell breaks loose. A rather explosive and pointless point-blank firefight erupts involving NASA paramilitary security. Note to self: when engaging with an indestructible alien robot, aka Kalium, switching tactics is recommended. Exactly what Jason figures out as he blasts it from air duct access above. Good work, Chekhov! Starfleet taught you well. Vanquishment over the alien threat pales to the disappointment of not returning to the moon to satiate his curiosity. But this trajectory changes immediately. Ray drunk calls Jason from the local strip club, who's there with fellow astronaut Georgie.
Jason, the man!
And he's holding crucial news for Jason. And in a quirky and fast dissolve, Jason and Ray exit the lander capsule on the moon's surface. Upon arrival, Jason and Ray find the secret base. And look, someone left the light on for them.
It is a goddamn base.
Within, they discover human skeletons and wake a woman, Mira, featuring Lee Lambardi, in a sleep chamber. Clearly, Mira's groggy but poses no harm. Georgie, who's in the moon's orbiter, informs them that the landing module has moved. And together, all three follow the tracks of the Kalium. The Kalium attack them, but this time, their machine guns cut them down easily. So what's the deal with that? Did they get an upgrade? Ray is killed in the battle. Some whoopee happens between Jason and Mira in a space tent. Ray is converted into a cyborg by the Kalium. Jason and Mira are captured and narrowly escape before they are diced into spare parts. But together, they obliterate the Kalium ship before they can stage an invasion of Earth. In the final scenes, Mira has learned English and expresses regrets of her past, and relief that the ordeal is over. But is it really? Irrespectively, Moontrap isn't going to set your hair on fire, but it is a fun low-budget sci-fi flick. For me, it was cool to see Koenig in a role other than Chekhov. Also, nice to see the greatest chin in Hollywood as his trusted partner. The chemistry and dialogue between them was uber light and kind of dorky, and kind of remind me of Fred and Barney's repartee in the Flintstones. And that's it. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for all your comments.